There's something most men don't want to admit. No matter how independent, confident, or strong women appear today, every single one of them has emotional and psychological vulnerabilities. If you can identify these, you can connect with her in ways 99% of men can't even imagine. This isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding the emotional map of a woman, and using that insight to build a connection deeper than logic or words ever could. Have you ever felt a woman was into you, only for her to suddenly go cold, distant, unreadable? That's because you weren't pressing the right emotional buttons. You weren't triggering those hidden vulnerabilities just beneath the surface. Today, I'll reveal 9 of those, but in this first part, we'll focus on just 3. If you grasp these and apply them with precision, you'll see her attitude shift even if you don't say another word. 1. Her need for selective emotional validation. Most men think they can win a woman over with logic, arguments, or surface-level confidence. But if you want to truly influence how she feels about you, understand this: she craves validation, but only from men she sees as high value. Neil Strauss called it push and pull. Mystery described it as withholding validation to build attraction. The average woman is exhausted by men who worship her like a goddess. What triggers her emotional vulnerability is when a man who clearly has options gives her crumbs of validation, but only when she earns it. Imagine she says, "I love the way you look at me." Most guys would smile and melt, but you give a half grin. "Oh really? I didn't know you were so observant." You've just planted ambiguity. And ambiguity, that creates obsession. Now she's investing, trying to win you over. She's playing your game. 2. The female narrative void beneath the surface. Many women feel a hidden emptiness, a craving for an emotional storyline that makes them feel unique, desired, alive. From a young age, women are conditioned to seek meaning through stories, books, movies, dramas. They don't just want a relationship. They want to feel like the protagonist of a powerful love story. That's where you come in: stability. Boring, predictability, forgettable. What they crave is emotional intensity. Be the man who makes her life feel like a story worth telling. A spontaneous adventure, a deep confession at the least expected moment. A spark of unpredictability. These create emotional anchors she'll never forget. As Robert Greene wrote in The Art of Seduction, the true seducer creates a world where logic fades and emotion reigns. And once she enters that world, she doesn't want to leave. 3. Her link between emotional conflict and connection. Here's something most men miss. When a woman starts to feel something deep, she often doesn't get calmer. She gets more chaotic, unpredictable, emotionally intense. Why? Because for many women, conflict equals emotional depth. If things are going too smoothly, it feels fake, so she tests you, provokes you, challenges you. Not to sabotage things, to see if you're emotionally invested. And this is where most men lose. They get upset. They react, or they shut down emotionally and kill the attraction. The key: stay solid, show presence. Be the man who holds steady when she brings the storm. When she sees you can handle her chaos without drowning, she surrenders. You become her rock, and she feels safe, deeply connected, and drawn to you like never before. Because anticipation is more powerful than the act itself. Esther Perel breaks this down brilliantly in her book, Erotic Intelligence. What triggers desire isn't instant availability, it's tension, the promise, the almost. And if you know how to play that game, you create a psychological effect known as anticipatory resonance, where she begins to associate your presence with pleasure even before anything happens. Highly emotional women respond to this intensely because their mind is their primary pleasure organ. And if you control her mind, you control her desire. The game, then, isn't physical, it's imaginative. And the men who know how to build that kind of desire without touching are the ones she never forgets. Even though we've already uncovered 9 of her core weaknesses, now it's time to go deeper into how to use them strategically in different contexts: face-to-face conversations, social media, texting, body language, and also in long-term relationships. Because knowing these weaknesses is one thing, but knowing how to activate each one at the right moment, that's what separates an advanced seducer from the rest. Face-to-face conversations, this is where the first major feminine filter gets triggered, your energy. A woman might forget what you said, but she'll never forget how you made her feel. That's why every weakness we discussed should never feel like a forced technique. It should come off as part of your natural expression. For example, when you're face-to-face, selective emotional validation has to feel authentic. Don't just hand out compliments. Make it feel like a spontaneous observation, then break the pattern with humor or irony. She asks, "Do you like my perfume?" You respond, "Yeah. Though it's a shame it doesn't smell as good as your ego." Pause, smile. That kind of game throws her ego off balance, but intrigues her because she doesn't know if you're flirting or challenging her. That's where emotional investment begins. Another face weapon, tension through pauses. Most guys talk too fast out of nervous energy. But a man who masters silence creates an almost hypnotic atmosphere. Look her in the eyes, then slowly glance away. Pause before you speak. That pause forces her to tune in, to follow you, to enter your rhythm. Texting and social media, this is where most guys fail. They stay logical when they should be triggering emotion. Enter the art of suggestive incompletion. Don't always reply quickly. Don't explain everything. Drop lines that leave space for imagination. "Sometimes I think things about you I probably shouldn't say yet." That line says nothing, but it says everything. It opens a door in her mind. Another lethal technique, double framing. Example, "I had a dream about you today, but not the way you think." You've opened two pathways, one emotional, one erotic. She doesn't know which one you meant. That ambiguity creates obsession, and if she asks, "What did you dream?" don't give the full answer. Give a fragment, "I just remember your mouth, but I won't say whether it was a kiss or a bite." Play subtle. Suggestive, never vulgar. That leaves her mentally wrapped up in you for hours. On dates, you want her emotionally hooked. Use the emotional narrative dynamic. A date shouldn't just be fun, it should have emotional rhythm. A moment of laughter, a moment of depth, a moment of tension, a moment of silence, a moment of closeness, a moment of withdrawal, like a great movie. Emotional contrast creates addiction. Show a carefully chosen vulnerability. I don't usually share this on first dates, but sometimes I find it hard to connect unless the other person's energy is different. Then say no more. Change the topic. That's the moment she replays in her head before she sleeps. Body language, your body always communicates. Use it well, and you can trigger almost all her weaknesses without saying a word. The way you take a sip without breaking eye contact, the way you touch her back while walking with intent. Not casually sitting beside her rather than across, creating togetherness pair. That we slow, deep vocal pacing and calculated pauses, you start to generate an invisible energy she feels before she even understands it. Long-term relationships, here's where controlled emotional unpredictability comes in. Desire dies when emotional patterns become too familiar. Sometimes you need to disconnect without warning, not emotionally, but energetically. Be present but not fully given. Then come back with intensity, then pull back even in sex. Don't follow the same rhythm every time. Your touch, your voice, your gaze, sometimes intense, sometimes distant. That keeps her mind active. Her desire stays alive. Outro women aren't an unsolvable mystery. Most men just don't know where to look. Beneath the beauty, confidence, behavior, there are deep emotional weaknesses. And if you know how to trigger them, you open doors no other man will ever reach. This isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding the female emotional map, her shadows, voids, unspoken needs, and becoming the man who can read all that in silence, without asking, without begging. Once you learn how to activate those 9 weaknesses, you don't just create attraction, you create obsession. You create emotional bonding. You create memories she can't bury, even if she tries. If this content made you think, gave you clarity, then this channel is for you. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. Which weakness did you find most powerful? Which one do you want to master next? This isn't a game, it's an art, and we're here to master it together.